Previous versions of Cubase had something called offline processing, but now with direct offline processing, that whole technique of applying plugins and processes to audio events is much more streamlined. For example, here we have a bass guitar track. Now, if this event on that track needed to have a specific effect that was on all the time, and we wanted to apply that process without using an insert effect or a send effect, then we can now use direct offline processing. So with that event selected, let's go under the audio pull-down menu here, and that's where you'll find direct offline processing. And you'll see that the keyboard command is F7. And then you'll also see the list of plugins and processes here, and we'll go over that list in just a moment. So let's choose direct offline processing, and here's the window itself. And on the left side of the interface, we're going to see the list of plugins and processes. And on the right side of the screen, we're going to see the control panels of those associated plugins and processes. So up here at the top of the window, here we have the ability to add a plugin. So let's click on the Add Plugin button. This will call up that list that we had over in the audio menu here. So the plugins here are the same as the plugins here, and the processes are the same. But let's say that on this bass guitar track, we wanted to add a bass guitar plugin. So let's go into the distortion category here and scroll down until we see VST Bass Amp. So let's click on that. And it's going to ask us if we want to use a new version of the audio file. Let's go ahead and use the new version. And now what's happening is the settings that we have in the control panel over here are being applied to the audio file in the background. So now that you know that, I'm going to drag this control panel over a bit so that we can see it all. But now let's load in a different preset into that plugin. So let's come over here and just choose Basic Bass, and you'll notice a couple things happen. The process indicators over here show that that audio is being processed, and the reason why it happens automatically is because we have Auto Apply on. So what's actually happened is that selected audio event has now had these settings through this plugin added to the event itself. So it's automatically been processed. Let's listen to the before and after by hitting the Audition button. Now, if we wanted to hear it before we processed it, we could come over and disable the effect. Now, when we press the Audition button again, we'll hear it before we added this plugin. Let's hit stop and listen to it with the process. Now let's make a modification of that control panel. Let's increase the gain here to get it a little bit more distorted. Let's move this one as well. So as soon as we hit the stop button, you'll see that the new settings have been applied to that audio event, and we'll hear the results here. Now, if you wanted the audio event to play endlessly, then you can turn on the audition loop, and you can also adjust the volume of the audition with the volume control right here. Now let's add another plugin. Let's come here and let's add a chorus effect. So let's go into the modulation category and call up the basic chorus, and let's listen to what we've got so far. And if we wanted to try a different setting, let's try the flying bass setting right here. And once we load that, it's going to process it automatically, again, because auto apply is on. If we wanted to hear it without that effect, let's turn it off and then audition it again. Let's turn the chorus back on. It'll reprocess the audio. And then let's add a process to our list. So when I click on Add Process, here's the list of possible processes. So in this case, let's change the gain down 2 dB. So let's drop this down to -2 dB. And once I've done that, then it'll automatically process and I can listen to the result. Now, if I wanted to listen to anything in a different order, I can. So I could come to the chorus here and disable that. It will reprocess automatically, and now I'll hear it without the chorus. Or if I wanted to hear it without the bass amp, I can disable that. Now, if I was totally happy with all of those different processes and plugins, I could right or control click here and choose Make All Permanent. that will apply all of those effects to the actual audio file. And the advantage to adding the processing to the audio events here is that once they're processed, no further CPU horsepower is being drawn away from the computer because the audio events themselves have already been processed, which is different from an insert because an insert is constantly processing the audio going through it. Here, the effects are being applied to the actual audio file. And if you did want to remove any of these effects, like the chorus, you could right or control click on it and choose delete, or you can also hit the little trash can right here. So here's the chorus effect. I can get rid of that chorus effect just by hitting the trash can. And there is one other advantage here that you'll find under the backup project command, which is under the file pull-down menu. So when you go to backup project right here, let's choose a different folder. So let's just go with erase me. So I'm going to be copying this project to a whole different folder. So it's going to make a new version of this project that I might be sending to a writing partner or to a different studio that may not have all of those effects. And so now when I back up the project, you'll notice that it has an option for make direct offline processing permanent. That will make all of the processing apply itself to the audio files that are being recreated in this new project folder. So that's one other advantage to having direct offline processing, is that you can make those changes when you back up the project and make those permanent edits to the audio files themselves. So that's direct offline processing. And next, let's talk about production presets.